you answer the roll?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of AM Minnesota. We've got a very interesting program coming your way today as we feature on the welding department of South Central College here in Faribault. It's part of our continuing series to learn more about South Central College. We certainly appreciate their cooperation in all of this. In studio today we have Barb Embacher. She's been on before. She's the Dean of Workforce Education and Training. Good morning, Barb.
Good morning, Gordy. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
Great. It's good to be here again.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. We like it when people enjoy being here. I just need John to be a little closer to that mic, if you would, please. John Smith is the welding instructor at South Central, and you're the new kid on the block, I hear.
That's right. You started a month ago and learned a lot.
Where did you come here from?
I was working for Trinity Meyer in Hager City, Wisconsin. I was their weld trainer there.
Well, that's a bit of a commute.
It was about 45 minutes from, I live in Kenyon, so 45 minutes from Kenyon.
Oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was. To Hager City, Wisconsin. Did you know that? That's over by Red Wing, isn't it?
I'm a cheesehead. I was a cheesehead for about 12 years, so I know quite a few towns in Wisconsin. But I'm glad to be back in Minnesota.
Did you grow up in Wisconsin?
I grew up in Minnesota. I went to college in Wisconsin.
Oh,
I started
okay.
my teaching career there for a while.
Where'd you go to school?
UW Stout in Menominee, Wisconsin.
Oh, beautiful campus.
It is a nice town, nice campus.
Yeah,
Yep.
got some really nice golf courses over in that area.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
A friend of mine and I golfed a number of times back in the day when I used to golf.
We had time to golf.
Well, when we had time to golf and when I could afford to golf. I try to save my money to go on trips.
Nice.
That's how that goes. So, John, how did you pick welding as a career?
Actually, I started out as an agricultural education teacher in Glencoe Silver Lake, and then I later switched to Hutchinson and team taught with my wife. And then old teacher I worked with was a trainer down at McNinnis Truck in Dodge Center, and he gave me an opportunity to teach the welding down there, so I taught at McNinnis Truck for 5 years as the weld trainer.
Do you enjoy the welding or do you enjoy the teaching?
I enjoy the teaching, the interaction with the people, and learning about different outcomes and showing them how to become a better welder and watching them improve as we're going along.
And it sounds like, Barb, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are looking at expanding this welding program.
Absolutely. We're trying to make our program really in line with where the industry demand is. And right now, as you probably know, Gordy, manufacturing is booming right now across the country, not just in southern Minnesota. And so there's a shortage of skilled technicians at all levels, but skilled welders are sometimes few and far between. So we want to help our regional businesses meet that workforce need that they have. And so our welding programs need to gear up and serve that need in this community. And so we've got a lot of partnership from local businesses that are saying, yes, South Central College needs welding back big and strong, and they're helping us in lots of ways. John is continually picking up scrap metal donated from companies that are saying, yep, use this material to help your students practice, and we'll hire your graduates when they're done. So that's really good news when you have a business community that's supporting your local college.
And pretty much guarantee of a job, John, when you're finished.
There's, like Barb was saying, there's a lot of openings out there and people looking for welders, so I mean, we can get them through there. There's openings out there.
Now, we were chatting before going on the air, and you were telling me some company you had worked at, you were looking at the average age of people, and they were all older than you.
The last company I worked at there was several people that were still working there before I was even born. So, and I'm in my 40s, so they've got 43, 44 years in working there, and even after graduating high school, there was 26 of them that had been working there before I graduated high school. So
yeah, we need to get a new crop of welders, is what you're saying.
That is true.
I'm going to talk to John and Barb about high schools. Seem not be doing that anymore. It was in my shop class. We had welding. We had a segment of welding. But we'll talk about that when AM Minnesota continues. Times they are changing. Are they changing in welding too, John? We're talking about the welding program at South Central College. Is the welding that I did in shop in high school the same as the welding of today?
A lot of welding has changed. I mean, back in the day, everything was done with stick welding or shielded metal arc welding that is formerly called now. But everything's moved to the wire feed just because the process is a lot more efficient. You can get more work done faster. And there's even newer technology in the machines with pulse welding, which helps the welders weld for out-of-position welds and helps with the aluminum and stainless steel welding.
So Barb, of course maybe I should ask Jen this. This is an introductory to welding course?
It is. You know, we have a certificate program that lasts 16 weeks, so within 4 months you can come in and John's going to teach you all of the basics of the different types of weld processes, from cutting and brazing and oxyacetylene fuel processes to stick, MIG, TIG welding. And isn't that amazing that I know the difference now between those things?
I was just wondering that myself. Wow.
I'm not a welder, Gordy, but I grew up on a farm myself, and you know, knew enough about making sure I covered my eyes so I didn't get burned when I saw my dad and grandfather doing it. But I'm learning a lot from John every day, and Tyler over in Mankato. We do have welding on both of our campuses, Faribault and North Mankato, because the demand is so great, and we've got students every semester starting this program. So within 16 weeks they can get a certificate, and now we're adding a welding diploma so they can further their well-rounded skills, and within a year they can have a welding diploma at South Central College. So it's a pretty short-term program, which is, it's designed to be that way. They're not going to come out being a master at anything, but they're going to have exposure to all the basic skills that they're going to need, so that when they are work ready then, chances are they're going to hone in on some type of weld processes depending on what company they go to work for.
Yeah, and John, these companies are realizing that the skills aren't going to be there right away. They can continue to do continuing education through South Central, right?
Correct. There's courses offered through the CBI.
Center for Business and Industry. Yep.
That they can come and take night classes. A lot of companies out there do have trainers, weld trainers at their companies to further them along, more specific to what the company's doing to help out these individuals once they do graduate too.
I'm just going to venture to guess that you don't have anybody come in there that's never welded before. I mean, you don't know if you're interested in it. If you, wow,
actually,
look at the smile on John's face.
Actually in the class right now, I have 14 in there. 4 of them have had welding in high school. The other 10 have not touched a welder before.
Ever?
Ever.
Well, how'd they know they'd be interested in it?
Career exploration. They have friends that they've watched their friends do welding, so they wanted to pick up the welding skill, and some of their friends are welding at companies here in town, and they would like to go work for those companies also.
I'm a bit stunned by that, Barb.
Yeah, less and less of our students coming into our technical programs, Gordy, have been exposed to some of the things that you and I probably grew up tinkering with on our farms or in our garages with our family members. You know, there's just fewer and fewer students that, for example, do any work on their cars. Their families take it into a mechanic shop instead of doing any of that work on their own. So tool usage, basic math like measuring things is sometimes foreign to students coming into our program. So we've found that in all of our technical degrees, carpentry, HVAC, auto mechanics, welding, machining, all of those programs, we have to start sometimes with the basics of, you know, how to use a hand tool properly and safely. And so safety in welding, of course, is critical.
Yeah.
So John spends quite a bit of time on making sure they know the dangers of using some of this equipment and making sure they're safe, because that's of course important to our businesses, that they know that when they come in the door to work as well.
Were you surprised that?
I was a little shocked at how many have not had welding or taken a welding course through their high school program. I would expect that 75% of them would have had welding at one point during their high school career.
Right. Does that tell us that high schools are dropping this?
You know, in general, welding is elective. I mean, all the career and tech education classes in high schools are elective. So if they don't have the numbers, they're the programs that get cut first. And if they don't have the funding to support, I mean, high schools, just like us, we got to get metal donations. If they don't have a way to get steel in or electrodes to buy the consumables for the welding, it's an expensive program to run. So when they're looking at times are tough, what programs do we cut? We look at the electives, or the electives are looked at, and those programs are downsized or they're cut.
Now, you guys are much younger than I, Barb, but I recall when I was in high school, I don't think it was an elective. The guys either, okay, I'm going to really date myself. The guys had shop or technical education, and the girls had home economics.
Correct. And nowadays, there's a little exposure to that in junior high that's required. But by the time students now get into 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, they really have a lot of required general academic courses to prepare them for higher learning. And there's much more academic testing nowadays that they have to meet benchmarks for to get through high school. So that's really changed since you were in high school, Gordy, and there's less and less time in their college or their high school day for technical education. So that's partly why we need to make sure those students are knowing these options exist after they get done with high school. We also are giving students options in high school to take some courses through our post-secondary options program as well. So that's always an option.
I was just going to bring that up, and with the Faribault High School right next to you.
Sure. That's always an option that students can choose, you bet.
And it's something that would be suggested, right?
Correct. I currently have one student from the Faribault that is in my program. So
I mean, it's right across the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go a long ways. And we need to get the word out to all the area schools about this.
You bet. Yep, we're always willing to try to make schedules work for high school students and work with guidance counselors and principals to see what their needs are. If they can't offer those courses anymore, there's always possibilities of doing some concurrent enrollment programs too, which means that we could either work with a teacher in the high school to offer a dual credit type of course, or maybe one of our instructors like John could go teach 1 hour a day at a high school and offer a course that they just don't have maybe a welding teacher on their high school campus. So we have lots of options that we can work with high schools to accommodate their needs if we can get the interest and get enough students to take a class. So
now, this is just my own opinion, okay? I'm going to share my opinion with you folks,
Okay.
so you know it's my opinion. I'm a little frustrated by that because not every kid goes to college.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, but we do know, on the high school's behalf, we do know that today's jobs require everyone to have higher math and higher English and higher communication skills than they used to have. It's a high-tech society we live in now, and so you know, most of the high school educators that I have worked with in the past don't necessarily want to eliminate career and technical education. They believe in it. They know it's good for students. But their hands are tied to a bit because of some of the state mandates, some of the academic standards we're requiring of students nowadays, and frankly, sometimes for budgetary reasons. So we have to be creative and work together, and that's what South Central College is really trying to do, is reaching out and finding a way that we can help, and so we can keep some of this technical education out there at the forefront, because we know that there's a lot of students who would rather and who would be better at matching up some of their hands-on skills with professions like welding than going to maybe a four-year university, which just isn't a good fit for them.
Right. What's the equipment like at South Central?
Currently there's a few machines that are on the older side of things. We got 2 new machines in there right now, and I have 8 new machines coming in the next month.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate, Gordy. We've received a pretty nice grant from the Department of Labor to really upscale our high-tech labs at South Central College. So John's right. We have some new welders hot and shiny on the way right now. We've been able to purchase and upgrade some of the older machines. But good welders sometimes last for 30 years if you take good care of them. And so we've got some oldies but goodies yet in the shop, right, John?
That's correct. And it's not bad for the students to see some of the older machines and learn how to use the older machines, because there's still a lot of older machines, like Barb says, they last for a long time if they're well taken care of, that they should know how to operate those also.
Yeah, it's probably good to have the whole breadth of experience.
Gordy, something new that's coming too, maybe John you can talk about this. We're going to order a really cool, the latest technology in welding training is a welding simulator, which is like a big video game in a way, It lets them practice, and it has monitors that shows them exactly how good of a weld they did,
Wow.
where they need to practice, and they can do that first before they actually do the real thing on welding, on metal.
It saves on materials too.
Sure.
That's right, it would save on materials. The one we're looking at is it's a Miller brand. But this one here is unique because you can do it sort of virtually. Actually, you put the piece of metal on the table, you weld it with your gun, it can give you a score. I can turn around and pull the trigger and weld the piece while it's on the table, and it'll give me a score of how I did on the piece I just welded. So it's more than just being virtual, it's actually a hands-on unit.
Amazing. And the lab is new, right?
Well, it was remodeled about 5 or 6 years ago, I believe, right before I came here.
Sure.
And it's got a really nice ventilation system. It's air conditioned. I mean, it's a pretty nice shop for a welding lab. So, yeah, we can accommodate about 18 students really comfortably in that lab. So we're kind of the envy of many other community colleges around the state that have welding programs, because our space at Faribault campus is very nice. So John's making it even better as he brings in some new equipment and plasma cutters and all kinds of things that we're just putting in place as we have some grant funds to help us do that.
You can also assist businesses, right, John, in their welding needs? They need to do some training?
Yes, we can. Like I said, we can do it through the Center of Business and Industry up at the college. I can also work with them a little bit on the side. Like I am a CWI and a CWE, so I'm a certified weld inspector through the American Weld Society, along with being a certified weld educator through the American Weld Society. So I've written weld procedures, I've done PQR testing at my previous employments, so I know I can help companies out a little bit that way too.
Wasn't easy finding an instructor, I would guess.
We were very fortunate to find John, and especially since he's a local guy as well, and we hope that John will stay for a long time. This is a really important program to this region. So yeah, it is hard to find great teachers that also have these technical skills as he just described. It's a rare person that really can get down to a student's level and really find that niche of helping each person, no matter how they come into our school, learn from point A to point B and get them job ready. And so we're very fortunate to have found John.
And I know, because we're going to talk next month with your carpentry
Yes.
individual, that you have the same there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very excited to have carpentry back too, and I'll be looking forward to our next month's visit on the radio again.
Sounds like it'll be a lot of fun when we talk about carpentry. But today we're talking about welding. People want more information, Barb.
Well, it's really easy. You can start the welding program 2 times a year. So we're taking student enrollments right now. You can come stop on in and apply. You can go online and apply. Indicate that you want the welding program, and our advisors are there to help make sure everything gets taken care of. So you're ready to start in January again. We'll have a new group starting. Or you can apply for next fall as well. So there's lots of options, and it's pretty easy to get your application in. And if people want to just come and check it out and visit our welding lab and talk with John in person, we are participating in the Made in Faribault event on October 8th.
Ah, yes.
And so that's right around the corner. If there's students out there listening today, adults out there listening that are thinking of changing careers, there's a lot of great jobs in welding right now. And so in 16 weeks, you could be ready to go. So we'd encourage you to come to that event. Made in Faribault is being hosted and organized by the Chamber of Commerce here in Faribault. So you can get more information on the Chamber website, or you could call South Central College and we'll tell you more about that event.
You hear that, folks? In 4 months' time, you can get your training in, which means you guys get after it, I would guess. There's not a lot of fooling around in your class.
Oh, our guys are welding like tomorrow when they show up. They're welding for 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it's getting through our welds that we need to get through and work on their techniques so they make better welds.
Yep, that's how they learn.
Correct. Practice makes perfect.
And like I said, 4 months. 4 months. So if you're not a big fan of school, you don't have a lot of school.
Yeah, it's a good short-term program, and not a lot of financial risk either. So you can get in and get out and start making a good living.
What would a typical course cost?
Well, our tuition rate is about $180 a credit. So if you figure a 16 credit program, you can
Okay.
do the math,
All right.
okay?
Very reasonably priced.
Yeah, short-term investment for hopefully a nice long-term career.
Do you have any idea, John, what the average welder makes?
It depends on where you start out there. I've seen $15 an hour starting, so that's $30,000 a year starting. Some guys can start making $30 an hour depending on what career they actually choose and go into. So there you're looking at $60,000.
Right. And if they're good or exceptional, that
It's a
price
lot
tag
more.
goes up.
Absolutely.
Correct.
And good welders, of course, get promoted along the way and get they get advanced in opportunities to make even higher wages than that. I know of some real specialty like robotics or underwater welders. You've probably heard of them. They get up into the triple six-figure digits for salaries, you know, because it's somewhat it's a skill not everyone can do and wants to do. So depending on where you're welding, if you're welding on the top of a big bridge or a tower or under the ocean, of course wages are going to go higher, you know. So it depends on where you go, but the sky's the limit really, if you're good at that skill.
Yeah. A lot of those welders probably get trained in the military.
They could, not necessarily
I'm
though.
thinking of underwater.
Sure, depends on if you work for an oil drilling company,
Sure.
you know, big industrial
Shipbuilders.
you know, it all depends on the you know, manufacturer that you're working for.
So again, folks, if you need more information, South Central has a great website.
Sure, yep, you can check us out. Just click on the programs and majors and find welding, and it'll tell you all the details of the courses that you take, and you can get your application in anytime.
Where do you envision this going, John, the welding program?
Well, I envision we got a good start going this year, and next year we'll build on. I mean, I'm gonna, like I just started, so we're gonna learn from some little mistakes here and there, and we're gonna build to make it a better program as we're going throughout the year, and then eventually maybe there'll be some more advanced level classes offered that we can train our students to as we move along the course, as we move along.
And you were telling me before we get the other, you're close to full this semester.
I'm, like I said, I'm 14. I can hold the class will hold 18 comfortably, so we're pretty close to full.
That shows you the demand, doesn't it, Barb?
It does. It very, very much does. And we're full in Mankato as well. So we've South Central College total has got about 32 students in the program this fall. So that's 32 welders coming to the doors of our companies, which I'm sure they'll be excited to hire.
And they're waiting in line to hire them.
They are. They are, which is a great thing, right? It's great for our students to have lots of job opportunities.
So do you have a placement department or anything?
Yes, we do. We have a career coordinator that employers can post their job openings with online. We send out that information to our alumni so that our graduates know of companies in the area that are hiring. But often they're coming to our campus, you know, telling John, I need people, here's, give them my card, and we have job fairs a couple times a year. So if you're a business out there looking for welders, you know, contact us and we'll help you out as well.
There's no problem finding a job.
There should not be any issues finding a job out there for welders. There's plenty of openings. I know both previous places I worked at, they're both looking for welders right now.
So there you go. It's just that simple. If you've been thinking about a career change, and this sounds like it would be interesting, contact South Central College. Are most of your students I hate to use the word traditional or non-traditional? You probably have a mix.
I have a mixture in there. There are some that just graduated from high school, and there's some that have been out of school for 5-7 years. So there's one that's been out for probably 15 years. So
we're having more and more adult students that are changing careers midlife for various reasons. We also are trying to be very helpful in granting credit for prior learning for any of our military service workers that are coming back to Minnesota and maybe need a certification or a little skill training to be ready for jobs in the area. So maybe some of our service workers have done things, done some welding out on their service duties, and it'd be a great short-term training they could come back in as well. So
And
veterans are welcome as well.
I think I read on your website Barb, that you will go to a business and help with training too. They don't have to come to the school.
Absolutely. Brian Knutson is really wonderful about helping out of our Center for Business and Industry, really seeing what businesses' needs are, and then we can customize a training program and bring an educator right to the work site, and or schedule something in our welding lab when John's students are not in there, which we've set aside some times for those customized training
I could
classes.
see them wanting to use that simulator, for example.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really a cool thing. So
Do some great training there. Well, Barb, we're about plumb out of time.
all right. Well, thanks for having us again, Gordy.
I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Barb Embacher is the Dean of Workforce Education and Training, the Dean of Workforce Education and Training at South Central College. Are you on both campuses?
Absolutely. Yep, I split my time both places.
Okay. The lab similar over in North Mankato?
It's smaller. Our lab in Mankato is much smaller, so John's got the Cadillac lab here over in Faribault. Yes.
And John Smith is our other guest. Can't forget that name, right?
It's
John
easy. I
Smith.
tease him that his wife maybe could be called Pocahontas, but I haven't met his wife yet, so I maybe shouldn't be teasing about that. It's an easy name, though. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate it. It was
Thank
nice
you.
meeting you, and best of luck to you and your class in the future.
Thank you, Gordy.
You bet.